I hope I can share at least a little bit about some of the social media stuff that we did over at the campaign for the last few months. I have to say really quickly that I used the font that we used, the Sentinel and Gothic branding stuff, but it was just changed on this version of PowerPoint, so bear with me. It won't look like Obama branded, but it was at one point. So to start with, I just want to read this quote. Most of you have probably heard this because it's one of those repeated presidential quotes. You know, one voice can change a room, and if one voice can change a room, then it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if it can change a state, it can change a nation. And if it can change a nation, it can change the world. And then your voice can change the world. And that quote really resonated with so many people across the country, but I think that the reason that it did is because it had the help of a little bit of digital promotion. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. So I'll be talking about digital politics. Fired up, ready to go, you've all heard that. On Facebook, go on Facebook. And the two pictures in the left corner are of me. The one on the bottom left is me the first time I got to see Michelle Obama speak in person. And the one in the upper one is me right after I voted. So just to set a little bit of a landscape, I am 21 years old, which means this is my first presidential, sorry?
I mean, you know,
I'm a bit of a baby, yeah.
In a good sense, it's not for whatever.
So, yeah, so this was my first presidential election. And so for me, it was very important to get involved in some way. And I chose to do that in a digital way because I thought of the importance, you know, of social media and digital media in politics as we talk about kind of the penetration of everything there is tech, which you've all heard from this entire day. But then that being said, there's also a really cool combination of digital with the in-person component, which is why I included that picture of me at the Michelle Obama event, because I was a digital representative at, you know, your traditional community event. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that kind of combination and conversion of, you know, being in person and then being able to project it to a much larger audience. Okay. So the digital team at the Obama campaign is twofold. There's the community fold, and then there's also, excuse me. Yeah, so there's community and there's content. And so first I'm going to talk about community, and then I'll talk about content, and both of which are very important in sort of creating this digital landscape picture as a whole. So when it comes to community, the most important part of our campaign was our website. That is the mothership of everything. That is where we have links to all of our social media. It branches out, and we have stories, and we have, you know, write a letter, share your story, find events, gotta vote, call voters, find your office. Everything is right there, so it's very easy to find. It's all very transparent. And I do want to mention quickly, I'll be working mostly with Pennsylvania because I worked for the digital team for Pennsylvania, so I was down at headquarters in the Philly office. Sorry, I meant to mention that. So in terms of building the community, I think that one of my favorite parts of this website is that when you need to find your office, you click local offices, right? So say you wanted to volunteer. And immediately the campaign was able to integrate Google Maps and log all of the offices. So it is that easy with the click of a button to figure out, I want to volunteer, I want to get active, how can I do this? Oh, there's a Google map that will show me and find directions. So it's a really cool integration of different platforms and different websites in order to create a one unified effort in a way, and make it as easy as possible to build out that community. So that being said, I'm now going to talk a little bit about Dashboard, because Dashboard was the platform that we used to create community teams. And the way that the Obama campaign worked in terms of its strategy was the neighborhood teams effort. So that means, you know, it's all grassroots. You've all read about that in the newspaper, right? Like the grassroots efforts. It's all about community organizing and building up from there. So the whole purpose of the digital team was essentially to support those community efforts. And we did that with Dashboard primarily. Dashboard was used to log all of the community teams. So if a field organizer or a team leader wanted to create a team within their community, that person would use Dashboard to sign up. And we tracked all of their engagement and all of their, actions that they did, and would sort of promote people to have different positions within Dashboard as a way to customize how we reached out to them. So I think that that's another good word that comes up, the concept of tracking this community building and following it and having evaluation metrics and everything like that to make sure that everyone is staying active and staying involved and in one place, all of which was on this digital platform, but then also being able to customize how we reach out to each individual by looking at their individual platforms and kind of being able to group people based on their involvement and what they've expressed interest in, and then targeting, emails and requests to them, because it's all then about the hard ask and getting people to, physically do things for the campaign. And here's a lovely picture that I took that was then made into this little ad for Pennsylvania. So I think this is also just a really good example of that, in the sense that here's a picture of 5 Penn and Drexel students over at Drexel. They're registering voters, and it says, Pennsylvania for Obama. Clearly, it's all about PA. And then it says, join the team, right? That's your hard ask, join the team. And then from there, we slowly build up that team effort to make it a stronger team. But it all starts with just joining. And so I think it's really cool that you're able to put these 5 faces to it, and then put this all over the web and get people to actually join the team. So that being said, that's kind of a good bridgeway into the content side. And that's kind of, I guess, what's more exciting. Content is everything that is social media. So I really enjoyed doing the content side, which I did a lot more of. So just like community, content side starts with our website. Everything can be found on the main barackobama.com/PA website. And then some of the social media we used. Well, we had our lovely Facebook page, Obama for America, Pennsylvania. There are, I think it's like over, 40, 60,000 likes, something like that. So a lot of people are really actively checking that Facebook page always. And we use that page to take a lot of our infographics and a lot of our cool visual images and put them on the page and tell people to share them. So that was really effective in just kind of creating that web of getting thousands of people to share an image and create that unified movement through that. That being said, we also got a lot of really funny Facebook pages to really engage the voters, because Facebook has, well, now there's not even like a target population of Facebookers, but the campaign found out that, Pet Lovers for Obama was a really active group. So here we have 2 pictures from the Pet Lovers from Obama page, and each picture has over 1,000 likes, which is crazy for Facebook, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe you all are really popular on Facebook and get more than that, but I've never seen anything like that before. So we used to go on this page all the time and just laugh at it. But the thing is, as funny and adorable as these dogs and cats are with all of their Obama gear, in the end, they're also really, really effective at engaging people through something that's not necessarily directly political. So this creative way of getting people to post pictures of their dogs. Everyone loves their dogs and cats, which is what they always do on Facebook anyway, but adding the political component to it, and then getting everybody else really engaged, because everyone loves looking at pictures of cute animals. And ultimately, we were able to get a lot of donations from it. So this page was actually cited as one of the pages that raised some of, the most donations of pretty much any Facebook page, because I guess people who love their pets also love donating to campaigns. So that was really a pretty fun and effective one. And then,
did you guys just stumble across that?
So it was actually created by my boss's friend. One day, somebody sent him a cute picture of their pet, and we would constantly see all these adorable pets with their Obama gear. And so he just said, what is the best platform to do this? I'm going to make a Facebook page. So it's also a matter of integrating kind of the best digital platform and figuring out how to convey the message and target it correctly, which I'm actually going to talk about with Twitter in a second. So yeah, but YouTube. Okay, so I love videos, and videos to me are the most powerful, and that is one of the reasons why I joined the campaign, because my boss on my first day, I wasn't quite sure how much time I was going to commit to it, but he basically sent me an email. He said, here's your onboarding, and he sent me 5 YouTube links of his favorite videos, the most powerful videos, the most targeted videos. And I watched all of them, and I was just crying, and I felt really engaged and really empowered, and I was okay, every free hour I have, I'm coming to the campaign. So I did that. And so I want to just point out quickly on the YouTube site that there are 4 tabs in the top, which are the categories of YouTube videos, and that is Our Story, Issues, Keeping His Word, and From the Field. And my favorite is Our Story and Issues. I think Our Story is really well done because it's a timeline of the story of the president, so it paints a visual story so elegantly in the sense that it starts back in the '08 videos and continues through. And so it's a very powerful way of like really getting a constituent engaged with an individual who they're voting for. But then I really like From the Field because you can make your decision about your candidate, but it's also really important to see why others picked who they picked. And so From the Field is all sorts of really engaged volunteers who have really great and passionate stories, as well as different celebrities, because of course we need that celebrity involvement also, that sexy factor. And it's just like a very powerful duality in the sense that you're voting for one person and you're also part of this movement. So you get to maintain that individual choice, but you also get to be part of a broader and like much greater thing. And I think, of course, that's what we all talk about with campaigns, but it's so well like visualized or promoted on YouTube that I just wanted to point that out. And then Twitter. Oh, Twitter's my favorite. I spent hours sitting with my boss. We would get these long fact sheets of new policy decisions, stats, numbers, and we had to get these out. Like, you need to know, everybody needs to know that this many people are getting this and this many people aren't, and this is why the president is the best person to elect. So we would get these like paragraph long things that we need to make into 140 characters in order to tweet out. So that was actually both a fun and challenging role, because we basically decided as a team that the most effective way to get the numbers out and the stats was through Twitter, because it's so fast, it's so immediate, people retweet right away. So if you want to just grow something exponentially very quickly, Twitter is by far the best platform to do that, right? You get this news feed and it's just like constant, right, popping in. And so we would come up with all sorts of like crazy ways to both say these facts provocatively, but also quickly so that they would stick with people. And I think that that's something the campaign did really well in general, is the ability to tweet out the numbers was a really good way to get them to stick in people's heads just like that. And so even if you didn't necessarily remember the exact number, the next day someone would remember something that, like, the president did it better, or, the president's plan was superior, or the opponent's plan was worse, something along those lines. That was the messaging from Twitter, and I think that that was really, really effective, just in terms of kind of like keeping tabs of what people wanted in a way. And also we used Twitter to, we tracked all of our field organizers, we made sure they were constantly tweeting, right? And then we also had tons of really cool Instagram pictures, because we all, we keep it visual, keep it fresh, right? So then besides Twitter, we also used Pinterest. I actually monitored the Pinterest account, and I think this is a really interesting one because it's not something people would necessarily think of as an effective way to market a political campaign. I think that Pinterest was kind of an experiment that my boss wanted to try, and several states had Pinterest accounts. And so we got to get a little bit creative because we had this bulk of pictures that we took at, every possible event. Everyone from the field was out there taking pictures constantly. But the problem is we created this bank of pictures and we had no way of promoting them, because, a few pictures get made into infographics and a few pictures get like tweeted out, but the majority of them just kind of sat there. And so we wanted to make a wall, and the best way to do that was through Pinterest. So I'm actually going to show you one of these walls. I don't know if you can read this, but it says campaign snacks. So again, what we tried to do, similarly to Pet Lovers for Obama, was we tried to integrate kind of what people like with Pinterest and then pull the campaign into that. Because, people like to see campaign snacks similarly to their Pinterest boards, which probably have something along the lines of baked goods. I know mine does. So, we had tons of pictures of like creative cakes and creative rising stars from all of these different office openings. And so we were like, okay, this is perfect. We'll put them here. And hey, if someone wants to have a watch party at their house, they can also get ideas from here. And so it was a really good way to collect our thoughts and then promote using the platform specifically, but then also helping the campaign more broadly. And then I just wanted to point this out quickly as I sort of wrap up, which is that, so obviously, as you all probably remember from just inundation of news, that there were a bunch of more targeted campaigns that the broader Obama campaign focused on. One of those campaigns was the For All campaign, and that was where we had every individual write on their hand kind of the issue that resonated with the most or the issue that mattered most and created that sense of urgency. And then you put your hand over your heart, I don't want to mess up my mic, and you take a picture. And so the whole point was that then you post that picture on Facebook or you post that picture on Twitter, and wherever you post it, you've posted it in this digital realm, and theoretically there is this like broad mural somewhere that was never created of everybody being unified. So it's that idea of you get to use your individual social media and everything that you've used to self-brand essentially and that you love. So you get to use your Facebook and your Twitter and your Pinterest and take those pictures and put them up there, but then be part of this broader thing. And I really liked this For All example because Jessica Alba's in it too. So, again, bringing in the star power. I love Jessica Alba. And, what was her issue? Equal pay. So, women's rights. We like that. I like that. I support that. So, Jessica Alba and then people that I have never seen before, which, is, just like the average American. So it's that sense of like, yes, we're all very different people, but when it comes to the campaign, we're all one and we're all working together, which of course we all read about all the time, but it's very cool to be able to project that in such a powerful and immediate visual platform. For example, you see in the top corner, it says Facebook and Twitter because they're saying, share these on your Facebook and share these on your Twitter immediately. And that's something that we've never been able to do in a campaign before. And so, of course, I had to add myself in. And of course, I couldn't stick to one issue, so I wrote 4. Equality, healthcare, education, women's rights. This actually was at an event where I was taking pictures of other people writing their issues, and one of the girls said to me, like, hey, why is there nothing on your hand? Don't you want to write something? And so then I wrote it, and I took a picture, and I Instagrammed myself, obviously. What else was I going to do? But I think that that's just like, that whole concept is that me being able to insert myself into all of this and also working for all of this created a very powerful feeling and also a really interesting way in which we're able to see the effect of social media as a collaborative effort because often we talk about Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube and all of these things being different entities. And yes, we talk about how organizations need to use all of them to be successful, but it's very difficult for organizations to integrate all of them, to figure out the best way to integrate all of them and that best approach. And I think that that's something that the Obama campaign did very effectively. And so that's why it was a very cool and very powerful experience for me. So ultimately, community, content, victory! And yes, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.